Well, hello, friends and fans. Welcome to In the Wheelhouse. I'm Michelle Cummings, the CEO and founder of Training Wheels, and I'll be joined today by Chris Cavert, one of our master trainers and master facilitators. He's right here. Come around, Chris. He's going to be joining me as well. And we're excited to share with you a tool today called BuzzRing. Now, BuzzRing has been around for a really long time. It is this circular ring with these five washers, for lack of a better word, on it. And the BuzzRing came to me very early in Training Wheels history. A gentleman by the name of Pat Rastel actually found it at a science show, if you will, and brought it to a conference, showed it to me, and he was like, I think there's something here. I don't know exactly what it is, but I think there's something here. I'm like, oh, there's something here. And it totally has turned into such a great tool. So there's lots of different ways that you can use it. I'm going to demonstrate a few of them, and then we're going to do a little live demonstration on how you can use it with groups and how the mechanics of it actually work. So there's one large ring, if you will, and then these five little washers. So how I like to start it with groups is before I've even got it started, what I'll do is I'll present it and I'll say, what are the buzzwords that you think you're out here to work on today? And it depending on what kind of program you're doing, if you're leading a team building program, they might be like, oh, like, and I have them name each one of the rings. So it could be like trust, teamwork, communication, respect, leadership, like whatever the right answers are. Like, what are the buzzwords that you think we're going to be working on? And then have them name the rings. And what I like about that is because how many of you as facilitators have asked, you're going into your debrief of an activity, like, how were you guys able to do that? What did you do to make that activity work? Teamwork, like that's the right answer that they give. You're like, great, thank you for that. Now, like explain a little bit more. What do you mean by teamwork? So what I like about this is we're gonna call it out on the carpet right at the very beginning. What are the buzzwords that we're out here to work on? And then once they name the rings, teamwork or whatever, I'm like, that is no longer the only answer that you can give. When I say, how did you do that? How did you work together? We use teamwork. You got to go into a little bit more of a description on, okay, what is it about teamwork that you did? So the structure of this activity then is I have everyone standing in a circle and I'm included in the circle as the facilitator. And then they've named the rings. And then I'll say, okay, great. Well, it takes a lot of effort for trust, teamwork, communication, respect, and leadership, all of those things to work well together all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present a challenge to you. And I don't know if you can do it. And I kind of phrase it that way kind of intentionally because a lot of people are very competitive and they'll kind of lean in a little bit like, oh, yeah, you don't know if we can do it. So I'm like, but I'm going to present a challenge that's actually pretty challenging at the very beginning. And I'm going to get these buzzwords buzzing on this ring. And then afterwards, we're going to start passing the ring around the circle from one person to the next. And we're going to try to keep those buzzwords buzzing while it goes around the circle. So it looks like this. And then this is when I actually like get it started. So how to actually start a buzz ring. There are multiple different ways. I'm going to do a quick version, how my preferred way of doing it, and then I'll show you a lot of the other ones. But when I'm in front of a group, this is the way that I always do it. And I'll get him started here, and then I'm going to pass it to Chris so you can kind of see the process of how it works. So what I do is I take my index finger and I put the rings themselves, the little washers, at about it's my 3 o'clock. It might be your 9 o'clock because it's opposite, but about the at the 3 o'clock mark on a clock. And then what I do, kind of like a Zippo lighter, you kind of like apply a little bit of pressure and then you snap over to the side. And it's not a lot of pressure. It's just enough to kind of get them going. But you get them going like you get them buzzing like that. And then so the small washers won't continue buzzing. So you can hear them buzzing there. They won't continue until you start pulling back on the larger ring. So the larger ring creates the inertia. That's where the physics come in to keep the small rings going. So then when I'm facilitating with a group and I've got my person to immediately here to my right, okay, so it's just a simple hand over hand motion, just like this, and then you're just gonna take it from me and then keep going. And then the person that would come on the next side, then they would just take it from them and keep it going. And so eventually then you try to get it to go all the way around the circle. And now eventually somebody bobbles it and it ends up stopping. And so that's usually when I'll ask the group, like, okay, share with me, has anyone ever done this before? And usually nobody has. And so then I say, well, is it okay that we're not perfect the first time we try new things? Today in our program, I'm probably going to ask you to do a lot of things that you've never done before. It's okay to not be perfect the first time you try new things. So, as a group, can we agree? Like, let's create an atmosphere of support and encouragement for people to be able to have a safe space to try something new rather than feeling guilt and shame and different things like that. Because of course, whoever it was that made this stop, they're like, oh my God, they're feeling that little public disappointment. I've let the team down. I failed and whatnot. And so that's when it's a great opportunity as a facilitator to just come in and say, it's okay to fail forward. Like, what do you think happened in that pass off? Was it a good handoff, or did they just get all nervous and then just like throw it at you? Because I've seen that happen too. Because that anxiety starts to build as that goes around the circle, that like someone is begging you, like they're praying in their mind for someone else to make it stop before it gets to them. Because it does, there's that pressure that builds up that you don't want to be the one to make the first mistake. So I then it's a great opportunity to say it's okay to make mistakes today. And hopefully we just try to learn from them and then try not to make the same mistake again. And then if we bring it back to the buzz ring, like trust, teamwork, communication, respect, and leadership, like the ones that we identified at the beginning, like how, again, it's hard to keep all five of those going all the time in every exercise that we're going to do. So it gives a great opportunity to talk about it. And then I say, okay, let's get it started again and let's try again. So then I start the ring again, and you can either start right at the person where it had stopped, or if you want to start from the very beginning and make it go all the way around again, you can. It just also depends on the size of your group. If you've got a group of like 12 to 15 people. It's a lot of standing and waiting on the other side. So usually I'll try to start it wherever the person was that made it stop. And then so sometimes I'll just walk around and insert myself wherever they are and say, okay, here's how you do it. And it's just a quick, simple, and then pass it to them, and then usually they then will then be able to pass it, and it goes two or three people before the tension starts to build a little bit again. And then somebody else will make it stop. And I say, okay, great. Was it the handoff? Was it you receiving? And again, this is just round one. And remember how I shared at the very beginning how this was going to be really challenging and I wasn't for sure if we were going to be able to do it. Now you see why, because it's a difficult task that I've asked you to do that nobody's ever done before. And we're not going to expect perfection in anything that we do. So then, we just play with it a little bit and let them experience some success, and then I start sharing with them, here's how you start it. Let them start to learn the mechanics of it. And I love to bring in the metaphor. The more we practice something, the better we get at it. So then I say, we're only going to do this for a little bit this morning, and it's doubtful that we're going to be able to pass it all the way around the circle without it stopping right now. But here's the thing, throughout the day, as we move from point A to point B, or in some of our downtime or at lunch, I'm going to pull this out and just let you play with it. And the better that they get at it, then I said, and hopefully at the very end of today, that's when we're going to have our culminating activity to where I'm going to bring this back out. And hopefully then we'll be able to get it to go all the way around the circle without it stopping, but let them practice along the way. So, and what I love about that is then in your debrief, and most of the time it happens, it works to where, again, that little bit of practice throughout the day, they then are able to make it go all the way around the circle without it stopping. And what I like about that then in the debrief, when you take it back to the very end and you talk about, it's like, okay, well, just as we had to practice the buzzing throughout the day to make sure that our team could perform at the end of the day, it's no different than practicing trust, teamwork, communication, respect, and leadership. Like the more we practice those buzzwords, then the better that we're going to get at them. The more we have opportunities to build trust in our team, the better we're going to get at it. And all of those different things. So it's a really great tie-in. And then sometimes as that last final send-off, I'll say, okay, now we've identified these five buzzwords. So how do we continue the buzz? Like we've had this great day together as a team. What are some things that we could do as a group to make sure that this feeling of strong teams and effective communication and all those things, how do we continue doing those? How do we catch the buzz and spread the word and continue those experiences back then? So set them off with a little bit of goal setting and action planning to where as you send them off, they've felt really good about their accomplishments. So that's kind of the initial way that I present BuzzRing. Now there's a lot of other ways that you could use it too, but that's kind of like been my standard foundational way that I present the BuzzRing. And then there's two different types of BuzzRing. So I want to show you a couple of different ways that you can start it. as well as show you the different types of buzz ring. And then I can get into a couple of different ways that you can use it as well once you have a group that's comfortable with it. I like to have, when you do go to pull it out at throughout the day to let them practice it. I like to have more than one if you can, just because the more you have, then the more people can practice and whatnot. But this is also one of those tools. If you have participants that are just too cool to participate in team building stuff, they show up with their arms crossed and they just don't want to play, or whatever. Then I get this out, and this is like flies to light. They're like, "Oh, what is that?" I mean, it's the sound, it's the physics. There's so much that they were like, they're so curious about this one, because of the mechanics of it, that they will naturally come over and want to play. So when you have several of them, then more people can get practice and play at one time. So let me show you a few of the other ways that you can start the buzz ring. So the way that I shared it, I'm going to push my screen up here just a little bit, like so. All right, so the way that I showed you again is kind of like resting the rings on my finger here and then giving a little spin, and then they come down like that, and then they go like that. So that's one way that you could do it. That's my preferred way. Another way you can do it now, I don't prefer this way at all because it hurts my hand, and nothing is worth pain in my opinion. But you can like take your hand and like go straight down and try to hit it with like the fatty part of your thumb, if you will, and hit it straight down. But man, you hit it just right. And so this one here, you can see how I've got one of them going, and then the other four are still like laying solo at the bottom. What you can do sometimes is you can kind of like slap down at it and try to pick up the other ones. There we go. Now I got all five of them. So you can do it that way as well. Another way to start it is to put your hand, I call this the lawnmower version. I've made up all these names, so I don't know if there's actually true names to them, but I've made up all of them. The lawnmower is like how, you have to kind of hang on to it, and then you like pull your lawnmower string. So you can sometimes like put your hand on it and like pull it back. I'm not good at that one either. Oh, there, I had it a little bit there. There you go. So again, for me, when it comes to like performing in front of the group, find the one that works the best for you. And my best advice for that is just to practice, just on your couch at home when you're watching TV, or just with other facilitators. But this one here is my personal favorite. Excuse me. Another way that you can do it, that is it is a impressive one in front of your group, is it's the clap method. Now it's one where, so basically I have my empty left hand here, kind of in a cupped motion, and I'm going to clap very vigorously or very strongly to my right hand that is holding the buzz ring. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm going to toss the rings up to where they hit about that 3 o'clock mark, on the buzz ring. And then when you clap, that clap motion actually makes them go. Now that one, people will be like, what? They're going to freak out a little bit when you do that one. I don't know if this is a little bit better, but it's crazy how that works. So those are the two that I do. It's the clap method or the other one. And when I have the brass buzz rings. Now there are two different styles of buzz rings. Colored buzz ring is so a lot of people like the colored buzz ring because it's very colorful. You can actually, when you name the different rings, you actually can identify like which one was the trust, which one was teamwork and whatnot. Size difference wise, you can see that the brass one is a little bit smaller in diameter than the colored one, which means the brass one spins a little faster, and then the colored one spins a little slower. Now, you can start them the exact same way. You can rest them up here on your finger, just like that, and start them that way. This one here, you can also do the slap down method. The slap down method on this one is a little bit easier because the rings are the washers are a little bit bigger. And then one thing that you can do, Chris, I'm gonna have you come join me here. And if you would take the colored one from me, there you go. Now here's one. This is one of those things that we found when we were just playing with them one time. So if I had a brass one and Chris had a colored one, here's a really cool thing that you can do. Okay. All right, keep it. Can I see it? Okay. All right. Now I'm going to pass the brass one through the colored one while they're both moving. So ready? Okay. So Chris, all he has to do is just stand there and just do what he's doing. I'm the one that has the hard part. Okay, here we go. Ready? It totally worked. right? So where you literally it just like on a very quickly just passes right through. We did it. Woo-hoo! Right. So anyway, so just kind of this cool thing. So once you teach them the original way to do it, then there are just a lot of other things that you can do. There's some tricks you can do with the rings as well. So when I used to work with youth that had challenging behaviors. I worked at a residential treatment facility for youth at one point in time. And this is one that, like, if they were too cool to participate in any of the other activities that I, this is one they were like, they begged me to get this one out. So one thing I would do is then I'd started teach them a few tricks that they can do. So here's a few of the tricks that you can do with it. And then again, the better they get at it, then when it does come to doing the actual team building activity with it, then the more practice they've had at it, and it sets them up for success a little bit more. But so a couple of the other tricks you can do with the buzz rings is just the mechanics of it. So this one here, like you can actually just move the ring itself. This is called the roller coaster because it looks like the little the rings are the little cars on the roller coaster. Or this one, oh, let's see, I messed it up. This one here is like the steering wheel where you can do it this way. I have one where I kind of flip it over the back of my hand. I know that's probably hard to decipher on Zoom, but that's kind of a cool one. And then you can do different things, like you can pass it under your leg, you can pass it behind your back. One of my favorite ones also is you can toss it over your shoulder. Oh, clutch move there. I didn't make it, but you toss it over your shoulder and keep it going. So again, once you show people some of the tricks, then they're going to just kind of spend all of their downtime, their free time, their bonus time with trying to do some of the tricks that you have showed them. So those are some elements of the buzz ring that are just some of the extra things that you can do with it. Um, Another problem solving activity that I did with these is once you get a group that's really good at it, you can pose them with a challenge that is really difficult. And I've only seen a handful of groups be able to do it ever in my career of facilitating. But it's kind of cool to where if you had four people in a circle, then all four of them would have to have a buzz ring. And they would then each one of them get it started and they would be going with it. And then they would have to pass and collect the ring they'd have to collect the ring from their left and pass it to the person on their right and try to go around to where they can do it like four revolutions to where they don't stop it and all they do are pass and collect and pass and collect. So it would be like it's really, really hard. But the group that I saw do it the most effectively was a group of 17-year-old boys that were in a group home that they just were like the focus and the commitment to the actual goal was really impressive. So anyway, and it gave them something they were really proud of, and that performance piece was pretty cool. So that's Buzz Ring. It's one of my pull out of my back pocket, pull out of my facilitator bag of tricks when I have those groups that I know that, okay, when I ask them, how did we do that? They're going to give me the one word buzzword answer. So I just nip it right at the very beginning of the program. And it's a cool one that probably people haven't seen before. So it gives you a little bit of a leg up there, if you will. And so yeah, so that's buzz rings is one of my favorites. And I do it, I would say it's one of my go-tos in my back pocket that I facilitate pretty regularly. So Chris, what would you add in about buzzring?
Oh, I'm back. Michelle took all my great
Oh,
tricks.
I
So I
did. I'm
can't show.
sorry.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But the only thing I would add is Michelle mentioned that the colored one is slower if you notice the hand movement. So as a progression wise, I like to start with the big one
Mm,
because it's a little easier to pass because you're going slower and there's a little more room as you pull, there's room to take it from you. So that's the only thing I wanted to add is just in a progression, start with the big one and then move to the more challenging one if they want to spice it up a little bit.
hmm All right. Awesome.
Mhm.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's see here. Let's just go ahead and
Besides,
just
yeah.
pull off mute and let you ask questions and let's just kind of discuss a little bit as a large group. What did you like about buzzering? What questions do you have about it?
How have you used
And
it?
how
How
do
have you
you
used it
use it
before?
if you use it differently?
Can you demo that clap one again? The
Oh
claps.
yeah, she's so. Can you
Sorry.
clap?
I don't know. I don't know if I could do it with the colored one. The colored one, because it spins slower,
Okay.
is I don't know if I can do, I can try it. I can try it. But the clap
It's
one is so if I do it this way, so I'm holding it not tightly, but like just like this. And then your other hand, you kind of cup it just a little bit. And then it's just I mean, it's a really strong clap. But then while you're doing that, you have to like toss it to where the rings get to about right here. Because then it's the gravity and inertia of the big ring that actually makes it go.
I
Oh,
think it's a little one.
you might be I can do it with the brass one almost every time. So, but there you go.
Mm.
wow.
I know, kind of crazy, huh?
Oh.
Oh, I didn't do it that time. Yeah, there you go. Doing it too many times though will hurt your hand. I just will let you know that
Okay.
it will
Okay,
hurt.
it's hurting. Thank you.
And as
I
a
love that the two of you are pulling out your buzz rings and playing with them as we're going through this. This is
Yeah,
of course,
fantastic.
absolutely. It's the whole demo. It's the whole
yeah.
intent of it, right?
Because I will admit, the only way I know how is the slap, and I have walked away from programs with bruises, and I
Bruises and
just
broken
thought,
blood vessels. Yes, I
yes, I
know.
need to
And
just
that's not fun.
practice.
That's no fun. Yeah.
If a resource, a point of resource is if you search jitter ring. If you
Mhm.
search jitter ring, Jitter ring,
Mhm.
I think that will get you to some places where they do tricks with
Hmm.
the buzz rings really only go to to
Yeah.
training wheel
I
site.
renamed the jitter ring the buzz ring for the
Yeah.
team building industry. So that's why, and the whole field knows it as the buzz ring. So the only place they can find it really is that through us.
Mhm.
Now, I will say the jitter ring did originate in China, and they have full on jitter ring competitions,
Mm.
and they are wild. Like
Mhm.
the amount of tricks and things that those people who have devoted their lives to the jitter ring can do is pretty impressive. So yeah, do a good Google search on that and you'll find some cool stuff. All right, what other questions do you have?
Anybody use them in another way?
Hmm. I always tend to use it as a debrief tool. I love sort of thinking about it as a early on type activity and then giving them the opportunity to play. Because you're right, when you pull it out of that bag, the eyes light up and there's such curiosity around it. And often, yeah, it's like, can we do that again? So now thinking about sequentially, like how it could just keep tapping back into the program is, I appreciate hearing that.
Yeah, another way that I used it also, but I hadn't done it yet with a group, and I was at a summer camp and I was there doing a staff training. And one of the goals of the staff training was, can you help us like in those down moments, in that 15 minutes where they're just sitting and like waiting for the next thing or whatever, what can we be doing in those 15 minutes that we can be really intentional so that they're that continuous learning rather than just sitting and picking at blades of grass,
Hmm.
like whatever. So and then they also said another time where there's a lot of standing and waiting is in the lunch line. And so I was like, okay, well, so what I did was then I intentionally went last and I just brought my buzz ring to the back of the lunch line. And as the kids were standing there, I'm like, "Hey, you want to learn a new skill or new trick?" They're like, "Yeah." So then I started it, taught them a couple of the tricks and whatnot, and then I told them, I said, "Okay, you only can have the buzz ring in your possession for 15 minutes at a time. And then after that, you have to go teach somebody else how to start it, a couple of the tricks and things like that." So now all of a sudden, and of course, because of the sound and the physics of it and what it does, everyone is like, "Well, what is that?" And so they all want to do it. And so then if you get your 15 minutes, but then you have to go teach somebody else, then we relay that back to just being a mentor and how do we pass along those positive skills and traits that other people want to have rather than, like you could also talk about like how quickly did the buzz spread. So if there's gossiping or things like that, maybe it's a negative behavior that you don't want happening at camp, you can then relate it to like what can we do to pass on those positive behaviors and things that other people want to have and look up to and want to be able to, mirror what they see you doing. How can we be better leaders rather than of those behaviors that we don't want to spread through camp and things like that. So that was another fun way to use it as well. Who
You know,
here on the call has a buzz ring? I'm just curious. I have one. Oh, I think everybody, Christine, I know your hand's not up, but Katrina, did you say you have one too?
Well,
Oh,
Christina.
you got it right there. I love
Right,
it.
she's ready.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I don't have one. This is the first time I've heard of it. So
Okay, all
I have all kinds of thoughts. This is great. Thank you.
good.
Cool.
What are some of the thoughts that, if you don't mind me putting you on your spot, what are some of the things you're like, ooh, how would I use this? Or like, what are some of the things that are kind of going through your head about it?
Well, so I facilitate a leadership training program. It's a 9-month program with folks from our department. So we're always looking for engagement. We have a lot of boring policy and law, and then we do some leadership as well, right? So I think that we could incorporate this. Just the example you gave with the leadership
Yeah. What
buzzword
are
would
5 traits of
apply.
leadership? I mean, you don't
But
teamwork. Yeah. What are 5 traits of leadership that, that
yeah,
what are the
and
buzzwords in
and
leadership?
maybe even ongoing through the program, where when that comes out, they recognize, some fun's about to happen. But
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of possibilities.
Great. What are some other ways? So I mean, I love that everybody here, almost everybody here on the call even has one and brought it to the call. So what are some other ways that you guys use it outside of the ways that we've described?
I've used it. I love group juggle. That's like my go-to activity for everything. But if my group gets too big, then I use buzzering.
Okay. Okay. Very good. And buzzering in the way that I described it, passing it around the circle. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I thought you were going to tell me that you do buzzering in group juggle. I was like, ooh, because you can toss it. Are you okay with tossing? Demo tossing?
I can try.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we're gonna try. I've never been successful at this.
Okay. All right. So let's stand up and
Stand.
have you. Yeah, this will still work. Okay.
All right,
So
we're gonna
one thing you could
toss.
do is get it started, and then you have
Oh,
to.
turn it.
So,
Ah.
what the tosser has to do is turn it and make sure that it's going the other way, because then when Chris, I'm going to toss it in the air and Chris is going to catch it, but then his motion is going to be
Forward.
towards him. Whereas my motion is going to be away from me because I'm tossing it away from myself.
So turning it is one of the easiest tricks to learn to start with. Just
Yeah.
turn it and
So
then
just turn it
in.
this way, and then I'm going to toss it
Yeah.
up in the air, and then you try not to grab onto the washers. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay, all
All
right.
right, there you go. Okay, ready? 1. There you go.
Oh, that was
Just
bad.
like that. No, it's all right. We still got 2 going. And then you can reach down and kind of slap at them. Here's another thing that happens. Sometimes they'll creep up on you and it freaks people out. So you can just like slap at them a little bit to get them back down. But that usually comes with a little bit of practice. Okay, ready? 1,
Ready.
2, 3. There you go. And so then you could even work at like stepping further apart. How far apart could you get? So that's something else you could do, like see how far apart, like measure the distance. Maybe it's 5 feet, maybe it's 10 feet. Who holds the record at your program for the longest distance of buzzering throw, successful buzzering throw, or something like that.
And it's the same principle like moon ball. How many times can you get it around? Make small circles. If you have 4 buzz rings, create small circles, and then they're practicing, and then they're counting how many times they go around. And when they fail, you start again. Okay, how many times can we get it around? So at the same time they're working out how to start it and practice, they also have a challenge to see if they can improve. That's another way that I've done it before, as an initiative kind of problem solving.
Cool. Thank you so much for joining us for the Buzz Ring. We hope you learned a few new tips and tools on how to use this facilitator favorite. And if you have any additional questions or want to purchase one yourself, then check out the link in the show notes.